King Mahasilawa and his warriors were taken to the cemetery and buried up to their necks. Even in this perilous state, King Mahasilawa reminded his men,
"Practice compassion and harbor no hatred towards these men or any others. Hatred and revenge will only poison the possessor."
Then, at midnight, wild animals came. The animals smelled the human flesh and were ready to feast. King Mahasilawa and his men raised a mighty shout and chased the animals away, but it didn't take long for the animals to return. The chief wolf set his eyes on King Mahasilawa. Calm and collected, King Mahasilawa offered his neck to the wolf. When the wolf chief charged, King Mahasilawa clamped down on its neck with the grip of a vice. The wolf, in fear for its life, started thrashing about, loosening the earth around the king. The more the wolf thrashed, the more the earth loosened, and the more the king was able to free himself. Finally, the king was able to draw himself fully out of the pit. Seeing their chief captured and subdued, the other wolves ran away in fear. King Mahasilawa then released the wolf chief and freed all his warriors. At that same cemetery, it just so happened that a corpse had become exposed in an area between the domains of two ogres. The ogres began to argue over who would get to eat the corpse. The argument got so heated that they were about to resort to violence. However, they happened to see King Mahasilawa. Sensing his goodness and morality, the ogres decided to ask him to divide the corpse for them. The king said, "My friends, I would gladly be of assistance to you, but as you can see, I am filthy. I must bathe first." Using their ogre powers, they brought forth the king of Kosala's fresh bathwater. The ogres happily offered the bath to King Mahasilawa. After bathing, King Mahasilawa said, "It would not be fitting for me, a king, to decide a case while undressed. Please bring me proper clothes." The ogres then transported the king of Kosala's royal attire and happily offered it to King Mahasilawa. After that, King Mahasilawa requested a meal so that he was no longer hungry. The ogres then had the royal banquet of the king of Kosala transported and happily offered it to King Mahasilawa. After eating, the ogres asked if King Mahasilawa had any further requests. The king then said, "Please fetch my royal sword, which lies above the bed of the usurper." Using their powers, the ogres summoned the royal sword from above the bed and happily offered it to King Mahasilawa. King Mahasilawa then used his royal sword to cut the corpse in half from north to south and gave an even half to each ogre. The ogres were very happy with this solution. They asked if there was anything they could do to thank him, and the king replied, "By your power, please transport me to the usurper's chambers and my men back to their houses." Now at that moment, the king of Kosala was sleeping without a care in the world. King Mahasilawa used the flat part of the blade to strike the sleeping usurper on the stomach. Shocked, the king of Kosala thought he might be dreaming. Frightened, the king of Kosala summoned all his courage to beg for his life. He asked,
Sire, my guards are set and my doors are barred. Not a soul is allowed entry. How did you appear by my bedside, sword in hand and dressed in splendor?"
King Mahasilawa then relayed the events of the night to the king of Kosala. The usurper's heart was moved, and he said,
"O great and benevolent king, I am but a foolish human. I was not able to recognize your actions as signs of goodness. Instead, I saw them as signs of weakness. Yet, mere ogres who are brutish and eat human meat were able to see your virtue. Henceforth, I will never plot against one as virtuous as you, ever again. In addition, I swear to be your humble and loyal ally. I will fight against any who stand against you."
The king of Kosala then had the king Mahasilawa lie in the royal bed while he stretched himself out on the couch. The next morning, the city's inhabitants were summoned, and a proclamation was made by the king of Kosala.
"Let it be known, henceforth I will deal with all rebels and enemies of King Mahasilawa. May his reign last forever."
Upon returning to Kosala, the king ordered the corrupt, conniving, and slanderous minister to be put to death. Upon his throne, King Mahasilawa contemplated.
"It was my perseverance that saved my life and the lives of my ministers. It was my perseverance that has resulted in the comfort and enjoyment I experience now. I recovered the country through perseverance. Perseverance is truly excellent."
The Buddha then concluded the Jataka by saying, "The evil minister of those days was eventually reborn as Tewata. The 1,000 faithful warriors of those days were eventually reborn as Buddhist disciples. King Mahasilawa was reborn as myself, the Buddha." What did you learn from this story? We hope you enjoyed the video. Click like if you did, and click subscribe if you want to see our uploads.